Well, Flynn, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I had so much fun talking to you on your podcast. I was like, I cannot wait to put you in the hot seat. Because you have so much experience and you come from a different perspective than I do. I know you help correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding you help kids, but parents as well. You help the families.
Yeah. We don't do a whole lot with minors, although we speak to schools. And we will help minors. We'll help the parents direct them in the right place. But mostly we're dealing with the addict that's 18 above, and then the families. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it. We found it difficult to get care for our son before 18. I think that's problematic, but it's so important that you provide help to the parents, because as parents, when you're going through that, it's a very scary time.
It's an amazingly scary time for these parents. They don't have a clue. It's like they get blindsided with this. All of a sudden they go from thinking everything's okay to, one, my kid just overdosed, or if they're lucky, they actually caught their kid doing something. But even with that, it's still a shock to those parents, because no parent wants to think that their kid's doing drugs.
No, I mean, I'm in the recovery space, right? Like, this is what I do professionally. I've been sober for 28 years. And I was like, my kids are always home. My kids don't do drugs. Right. And what I found out was that nowadays there's this thing called Snapchat. You can have that shit delivered.
Yeah.
Who knew? I had no idea.
No, Snapchat, that is probably the number one platform where these kids are getting the drugs delivered to their houses. I mean, we did a documentary back in November that was really powerful, and we showed it here in Fresno to 2 sold out audiences at one of our local theaters. Wow. And we actually caught a drug dealer on a Ring camera. We had that footage of that drug dealer coming up to the house and dropping the package right on the front doorstep of the home. Yeah.
That is crazy.
It is. It's crazy.
It's frightening. Yeah.
Yeah. They can, while you're eating dinner, watching a movie, these kids are on their phones and parents think that that's normal. But these kids they're contacting their drug dealer and they're Venmoing the payment right there in front. So everything looks normal to the parent.
Yeah. I did not see the signs. Right. I was like, ooh, of all people, I should have seen it, but I didn't. And thankfully we caught it in time and we got the help that we needed, but it was an arduous process, even having access to tons of resources. So I am very grateful for the work that you do. And I know a lot of parents are too. And we were chatting just a little bit before we started recording about how you take care of yourself as a care provider. And I definitely want to touch on that. But first, I like to start with a little series of questions.
Okay.
It's a fun little game.
I like games.
I like games. When you first got sober, was there a particular book that spoke to you early in recovery?
No. I'm just going to flat out say no. There was not a particular book. My safe place, if that's what you want to call it, where I go to take care of myself, is music. Oh. And so I actually was a music major in college, and I turned to several artists during that time period. And those, believe it or not, were the folks that got me through those first couple of years. Wow. It was very, very eye-opening for me to just sit and listen to lyrics of some of these artists. And that's what got me through it.
Well, do you have a few artists you can name?
Yeah, there's a couple of them in there. There are, actually, it's, how do I put this? I listen to a lot of classical music. Okay. For one thing. Classical music to me is extremely soothing.
It is, yeah.
it truly, truly is. There are some Christian singers out there that I particularly like, and right now they're actually escaping my mind.
If the artists come to you
yeah.
later, I'll put it in the show notes. But
yeah, absolutely.
Man, you just triggered a memory for me. In my first 30 days, especially, there was this band called Enigma. You might remember because you and I are probably the same age, but there was this song called A Return to Innocence. And the lyrics hit me so hard because it was like, don't be afraid to be weak. Don't be too proud to be strong. And those are ideas about, weakness. I was thinking surrender. I was having to surrender to this process, and the world sees that as weakness, but it's really strength, right? To surrender. Don't be too proud to be strong. And it was like sharing with somebody all the shame that I had about my addiction.
Right.
And that was actually a sign of strength to be able to share all that stuff. So you're right. Music is powerfully healing.
Powerful. And this artist is Stephen Curtis Chapman.
I know that name, Stephen. He's a Christian singer.
Yes, he is. And he's been around a long time. And I want to say 5 years ago, he came to Fresno, and I made it a point to go up to him because I remember being at the Betty Ford Center. That was my fourth and final treatment center.
Betty Ford.
And Chapman's music was just in my ear almost 24/7 while I was there. And I walked up to him after the show, and I simply said, you and your music got me through my stint at Betty Ford. And this guy just wrapped his arms around me like you couldn't believe. And we sat there for like 5 minutes, and he wanted to know, how I was, how I got through it. I mean, it was just, and people were taking pictures. I mean, it was just amazing, yeah. And but this guy's lyrics, I mean, even now I've got goosebumps, just thinking about it. Because there was, again, a couple of songs in there. And I remember one morning I woke up at Betty Ford, and I simply kind of rolled over and I said, wow, so that's what it's like to sleep.
Oh, wow.
Because in addiction, we don't sleep, we pass out. Right. Our that natural REM sleep goes away. But that music was so soothing. And of course, the fact that I was now off of the drugs that I was on, and I just woke up and went, whoa. I mean, that was like the best night's sleep I've ever had in my entire life. But yeah, the music thing just got me through.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Do you have a go-to mantra or quote that you live by?
I have my own mantra, and it's not really a mantra. It's kind of a comedic thing. Okay. I always tell myself I loved being completely screwed because I couldn't get any more screwed.
Once you hit bottom, there's no place else to go but up.
There's no right. I mean, and the other one is, what is somebody going to do to me now? I've already been to hell.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, those are kind of the two that I live by, and that has made it extremely easy for me to not only talk about the drug culture that's out there, but to tell people the truth about my own addiction, about the things I did while I was in addiction.
Right.
Because again, what is somebody going to do to me? I mean, I already was screwed. So there it is.
There it is. Yeah. That's good. That's good. I mean, it does sort of eliminate the fear of judgment from others. Right. Like we're so afraid of what other people are going to think. It's like, they can't do, you're right. They can't do anything to me I haven't already done to myself.
Exactly. And you said something on our podcast that has absolutely stuck with me. What? We were talking about admitting or going to a party and simply telling somebody, I don't drink anymore. But you said that we're in our addiction, we were not afraid to show our ass. Everybody. Well, so why are we so afraid to tell everybody I don't drink anymore or I don't use drugs anymore? Right. And even parents, oh my gosh, I can't tell anybody my kid was using or my kid's a drug addict. Well, but you'd see your kid somewhere and he's making a complete asshole out of himself.
Right. Yeah.
There it is.
It is a family disease. It's so important that you're treating the whole family. It's a brave thing to do, a brave endeavor. Do you have a regular self-care recovery routine? Like, do you attend meetings or do you have a morning practice? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, my morning, look, I try not to do anything before 10 a.m. I like to get up at a not early, but a reasonable hour. I like to sit. Again, I like to listen to music for about an hour while I have my coffee, kind of think about the day. I don't even pick up my phone the first thing.
Brilliant.
Yep. Yeah. I just kind of let that sit there for a bit. But my schedule is pretty sporadic. I can be working at 11 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the morning, or so I have to have that couple of hours in the morning just for me, just to be by myself and to get my head on right. The other thing I do is I play golf, and I play 2 days a week religiously. that is my time to go spend with my friends, and to not to worry about anything or anybody. Now, is there an occasion where my phone might ring, even though it's on silent? Yeah. But for the most part, that's my time.
Yeah. And you're in nature, you're outside.
Yep. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's probably, listen, golf has always been very frustrating for me, but then when you have a good shot, there's nothing better.
There's nothing better. There's nothing better.
You want to hear a funny story?
Sure.
Dr. Andrew Huberman is a neurobiologist out of Stanford, and he was talking about this study where back in the day when you could do like these crazy experiments and not have legal ramifications, they used to implant probes into people's brains
Right.
and stimulate different parts of the brain to see what people liked. And of all the feelings people chose, they chose frustration over everything else, over
Really?
all peace, sexuality, like you would think, right?
Really?
And he said that they chose frustration. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Because that sort of explains golf.
Yes, it does. Yes,
and
it
politics
does.
And like it speaks to sort of, anyway, I just thought that was funny.
Oh no, that is so true, because actually I played yesterday morning, and I was in a match with my partner playing against these other two guys. And I mean, it's called a scramble. And my partner and I, we shot 30, we shot 1 over par on the front 9, 1 over par on the back 9, and we lost the match. Now that's frustrating. Okay. When you play that good and you lose the damn match.
That is frustrating.
I mean we walked off going, how did that even happen?
Well, listen, good days and bad days, right?
That's right. That's right.
At least you're outside.
Hey, if that's the worst thing that happens to me in one day, I'm doing okay.
Yeah. You have good perspective, right? You have a lot of contrast, as they say.
Right.
That's awesome. How about when you first got sober? Is there one thing that you wish you knew then? It's sort of like, I wish I knew then what I know now type of thing. I don't think it answers like, I wish I knew it was normal how hard it was in the beginning. that's that actually is really true to form.
Because I say even today, I have another relapse in me. I don't have another recovery in me.
There it is. Yeah. And my husband says that a lot too. Yeah.
Right.
Very clear about that. I mean, this for a lot of us, this is life and death.
It is.
For a lot of us. Yeah. And especially now with the drugs, like fentanyl being and everything.
Right.
Frightening. It really is Russian roulette. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it really is. And because it's just so damn hard to get clean and stay that way. But in what I do, everything was for a reason. Those first 4 years to me were just the biggest pain in the ass of all time, because I was still getting it from all sides. I was getting it from my family, everybody, I was under a magnifying glass.
The first 4 years of recovery?
You bet.
Yeah,
you bet. Everybody was watching me. I felt like, 1,000 sets of eyeballs were on me at all times, and they were.
Yeah.
So I tell parents, or I try to tell parents, that in that first 4 years until the addict, that's going to be your time zone, right? That first 4 years where you have to be humble. You just have to kind of forge ahead here, because it's not going to be easy. Your sleep patterns aren't going to come back right away. Your friends aren't going to come back right away. Your family is still going to love you, but they're not going to forget the things that you did. And so you better just kind of put on a set of blinders and go forward in this thing. And no matter what anybody is telling you, you stick to that recovery plan that you have, and come hell or high water, you do it. You admit when you're wrong. The other thing is, if somebody suspects you of being on drugs, tell them, I will pee in a cup for you anytime, anywhere.
Absolutely.
You bet. You bet. We still, look, for the lack of a better term, I believe we still have to prove ourselves in whatever that time period is. It may not be 4 years, but there is a time frame where we in recovery, especially new, we're going to have to prove to our families and to other people that we are clean and sober.
Yeah, it takes time to build that trust back up.
It does.
It does. And the truth of the matter is the people that love us are deeply affected by it's painful to watch somebody you love suffer.
Right.
Especially when they're in denial.
Sure. And even today, now I've got 21 years of sobriety. And
congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you. And if I come home late and my wife is still up, and she may be making, late dinner for me or something. And if I walk in and if I'm too tired, the right side of my mouth has a tendency to droop when I'm too tired. But that was also a telltale sign when I was using.
Oh, wow.
And so if I'm standing there, getting my plate, and she's looking at me, and she gives me that double take, and I know that look. I know it all too well. And I will go, whoa, stop, time out. I will drop them and pee right here for you. Okay.
The romantic words every woman wants to hear.
Every woman wants to hear. Oh, gee, I don't even want to see that anymore, let alone watch that. So
you've been married a long time.
40. It'll be 43 years in July.
Wow! Congratulations.
Thank you. Talk about a saint. This woman has stayed with me all that time.
A saint or a sickie? It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. I'll tell you what. She's a tough one.
She went through all that insanity sober. At least
she did.
At least you could say you were on drugs.
Right. I had an excuse. Okay.
Bitch, why are you still here?
Right. But invariably, every time she'll say, no, you don't have to. Oh, but those looks on our faces are the way we say things does not go away ever with the ones that are closest to us.
Right. Yeah.
It's a trigger for them.
Yeah, it is a trigger for them. And they have their own work to do.
Right.
Yeah. But being patient and tolerant and having the right attitude. You're talking about a good mindset.
Yes.
Is be patient with the people who love you while you're going through recovery.
Right.
As you want them to be patient with you.
Right.
That's beautiful. And we were talking about spiritual experiences. I love the science of recovery, and combined with spiritual practices is so powerful. Like, to me, that's a combination of that in a variety of forms is sort of like the path to recovery. And I know that spirituality shows up different for everyone. Do you have it? But it has to be experienced. Yeah. And I'm wondering if you have a spiritual experience you could share.
Sure. Look, I have no problem in telling people that I believe in God. It's that simple. And I do remember I was driving down a particular street here in Fresno. It was Shaw Avenue, and the cross street was Fruit Avenue. And I was pulling up to the stop sign of all things. It was one of those just kind of overcast days. Sunshine would peek through every now and then. And I was sitting at this stoplight, and all of a sudden I just kind of was thinking to myself, these people that are in the cars next to me, they're not high, they're not using, why am I stuck in this mess? Of course, who knows? Those people could have been using. I mean, who cares? But my point is I was really feeling just kind of alone in this thing, alone, desperate, not in a pity party by any means, because I understand I got myself there, and it was all of a sudden, Arlene, it was like it wasn't an audible voice. All right. But it was that spiritual voice that simply said, when are you going to listen to me?
Oh,
yeah. I mean, very simply, when are you going to listen to me? It wasn't, I love you and everything's going to be okay. And if you don't do this, I'm not going to do that. And no, it was none of that. It was, when are you going to listen to me? Now, what I mean by that is, and within a couple of days, I have a best friend who literally picked my ass up and flew me down to the Betty Ford Center.
Wow.
Because I believe that God puts other people in our lives for a reason.
Yes.
Right? And he had definitely put Richard in my life, and we've known each other for 50 years. But within a couple of days, I'm in treatment.
Amazing.
I mean, that simple, but again, the clouds didn't part and angels didn't rise and, the music started playing and all this stuff. No. And I wasn't neck deep in reading the Bible. I'm sitting at a damn traffic light, and again, the words, when are you going to listen to me?
It's so amazing how it's the still, small, quiet thought that it's like, wow, that's not even my thought. Like I wouldn't have thought that.
Right.
But it's deeply personal, those experiences, but it's an experience. And it sounds like that was a pivotal moment for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you just said something that kind of triggered something in my brain. You were talking about that still soft voice.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody's been in treatment for a while, one of the things I try to get them to do is to take some time during the day. And I usually start with an hour a day of somebody going into a room, no matter where it is, a bedroom, a den, kitchen, I don't care where it is, but shutting off all the lights, shutting the blinds, turning off the television, powering off your phone. I mean, not on silent, power it off.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And sit there for an hour by yourself. Don't take a nap. Sit in yourself and see if you can do that. Because and a lot of people can't do that right away. I couldn't either. After 10 minutes, I'm starting to get antsy.
An hour is hard for me.
An hour is hard.
Yeah.
But you can build up to it, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. But it's because we in addiction, we don't sit with ourselves well.
No.
We always are on the prowl. We're always looking, searching. It's like the lion in the wilderness. That we're always out hunting for something. And when you can get to that point where you can sit with yourself for whatever amount of time that it is, that's going to give you a little peace. At least I have found that in my life.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're talking about meditation. And for me, that means focusing on my breathing and noticing when your brain's job is to think, right? And so when I notice that my brain is thinking, I recognize it without judgment and bring it back to the breath. And I can do that for maybe 15 or 20 minutes.
Sure,
and I'm like,
sure.
I gotta do some
go.
shit.
I gotta get out of here.
It's a very
right. Oh hell, I left the water on. Okay.
I gotta go check an email. I don't know.
Right.
But I love that your suggestion of powering off your phone.
Yeah.
It just reduces that. And that's callousing your mind over sort of like that distraction mode that we get into. Yeah. Anything to avoid the present moment, right?
Absolutely. I saw something this morning that just made me laugh. There was a guy who was it was on TikTok, I think it was, but, and this was after my hour of sitting with myself this morning, but he was talking about his phone and the fact that when he loses his phone, it's instant panic mode. Right. And then he turns and he goes, I didn't feel that panic mode when I lost my kid at the mall. He said, oh, and by the way, I have 2 kids, so who cared? Okay. But he's right. You know, those phones, I mean, we lose them, we misplace them. My God, we just go into absolute panic mode. But our kid, well, we'll find him.
They have feet. They'll find their way back.
No, they'll find their way back.
I get that. Well, that's the end of the lightning round. Shall we call it? No, but thank you for playing along. I always feel like we get a lot of good resources right up front, but I'm so curious. Can you share about your using experience, whether, you know, you start from your family of origin and like maybe why you started using and how old you were and how you got sober?
Sure. I was actually born with an ailment that, caused me to go right back into the hospital the same day I was born, or right back into surgery. And from there, I had a surgery a year from the time I was born to the time I was 13.
Oh my God.
Then I had 4 more in 1976. I had a little break. So when I was what the hell was I? Yeah, I went back when I was 18, then had 4 more surgeries. So that was 73, I think it was. Anyway, I've had 27 since. I'm going to probably have to have a couple of more. So my opioid receptors were, to say the least, screwed up from the very beginning. And of course, I don't remember hardly anything the first 13 years, but those surgeries in 1973 or whatever, those were 4 in a row. And I was basically in the hospital for 9 months out of the 12 months. And of course, I became a morphine addict while I was in the hospital. That entire time, and the pain pills, of course, that you know, they gave me afterwards. But you know, I was also in my teens. I was also smoking pot. I was doing just about everything. But you know, Arlene, I was one of those guys. And the only way I can say it as a man of many talents and a master of none is how I like to kind of describe myself. I played all 3 sports. I was in music. I was in student government, you know, all that, but all the time, you know, smoking pot and doing whatever I needed to do out on the street corner with the boys. So the pain pill thing, actually, I kind of kicked that a little bit in the late 70s. But then I went into my Pablo Escobar days, and yeah,
okay,
yeah, oh yeah, you know, where I was just doing it all the time. I was bringing it in from Florida. I was, yeah, pretty much, you know, the king, and then I got married when I was 24, and then that's when the opiate thing really kicked into play. Into play. Yeah. And
what were you? I'm sorry to interrupt. What were you having surgery on?
I actually was, I'll let you know that I was born without a urethra. It was,
oh my God.
Yeah. Everything else was in place. I have to say that everything
your manhood is intact. You're amazing.
It's intact. I'm a dad. I'm all those things. Yeah. but that was completely screwed up. And
wow. So as you were growing, they had to address that. Okay. Correct. Sorry. Yeah.
Correct. No problem. Yeah. So, and even to this day, I'm probably going to have a couple more, you know, as I get older. So, but kind of going back then to the opiate thing, you know, my addiction built to where I was taking in the last 2 years of my using, I was taking probably 70 to 80 Vicodin every day. And if there were more, I would have taken more. And in those days, it was very easy to get. I had 10, 11, 12 doctors' offices going at one time. Wow. Pharmacies weren't hooked up. Doctors weren't hooked up with other physicians. So you couldn't trace anything. I was forging prescriptions. I was stealing prescription pads out of doctors' offices. Actually had the DEA show up at my door one day. That's always a fun experience. Yeah. it just, so I literally had two jobs. That's where people go, how in the hell did you even do that? I worked for lawyers. Oh yeah. So, I mean, isn't that funny?
Criminal lawyers, maybe?
Oh, criminal lawyers, defense attorneys. I mean, all of it. I had a legal support service business. So we would do filings I mean, I worked with almost every lawyer in the state of California at one point. And so when I was addressing the Bar Association one time, one of the first things I said, for those of you that know me out there, I said, I really don't remember if I got a lot of your stuff served or not, but I told you I did. Their forks drop. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And I went, no, I'm just kidding. I got them all served. And then I go, I think. Just to keep them going a little bit, but
just messing with them.
Yeah, just messing with them.
They all walked away very uncomfortable.
Right. But yeah, so it was two jobs. And to give you an example, when I would run out, I'd have to tell my family that I was going to LA to serve subpoenas, and I was going through LA to get to Mexico. So I would stick a 9mm behind my back. This is all pre 9/11, obviously. I'd walk into Tijuana. I'd go to every pharmacy, on the Strip, and I'd load up and walk across that border, not caring if I got caught or not. Or that was a dark, dark time for me. Just extremely dark. I was taking all these chances. I don't know, only by the grace of God is how I got out of some of those messes that I was in. And again, the addiction keeps building and the tolerance keeps building in our body. So that's why we have to have more and more. People go, oh, you didn't take 70 pills a day. I said, yeah, I did, because the body requires it.
Right.
I wasn't getting high anymore. I was not getting dope sick.
Yeah.
I was not getting dope sick. And because that's the number one reason why we don't get clean off of opioids. We do not want to go through withdrawal symptoms.
So how long did you live that way? It sounds like you lived that way for a while.
My addiction was about 23 years.
Okay.
But again, I have to say the last 5 were brutal.
Yeah.
I was always on the hunt, always just like that tiger in the wilderness, man. I was always on the hunt for more and more. Right. Right.
A lot of, so yes, the dope sick, I totally agree with that. I would also argue as an additive is that it's the guilt and shame that keeps us in that shame spiral. It's like we feel so bad about our behavior while we're high or whatever, that we feel really bad about ourselves. We don't even feel like we deserve to get sober. I mean, it's this vicious cycle. Where did your shame come from?
Oh, geez. I think a lot of my shame came from the fact that I felt that I was not being the husband and father that I knew I could have been.
Yeah.
That was probably my biggest shameful piece, of all of it. Look, I wasn't physically abusive. I wasn't any of those things. I was verbally abusive, wouldn't show up for things, kids' baseball games or, birthday parties, even on major holidays. I mean, my family would a lot of times would find me in my brother-in-law's house in the back bedroom. I mean, just out of it with drool coming out of my mouth. And it's interesting because up until a couple of years ago, we would go over to one of my brother-in-law's homes, and it's a huge house, but they had a bathroom, a couple of them way in the back of the house. And I would always ask my sister-in-law or my brother-in-law, hey, somebody's using the bathroom up here. Can I use the bathroom in the back? And they'd look at me and go, well, yeah, it's like, why are you even asking? I go, oh, I just like to ask. And so finally, a couple of years ago, I did it again. And my sister-in-law goes, why are you always asking me to use your bathroom? And I said, because that's where you guys used to find me. Find me
Oh,
back there. And I said, and I want to
yeah.
make sure that everybody knows that I'm back there, that I'm going to the bathroom. I
I'll be
don't
right
want
back.
anybody, right.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to think, I don't want those old memories coming back to the family.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you went to the Betty Ford clinic. I would imagine you had a period of trying and not being able to stay sober like we all do.
Yeah.
How long was that period for you?
That was about 5 years.
Okay. Not uncommon.
Right. About
Trying to
5
quit. It
years.
takes a long time sometimes.
Sure. And I was in several different programs prior to Betty Ford.
Okay.
But Arlena, I really believe that, again, lack of a better term, I think the stars all aligned that one day, where my spiritual awakening happened. My best friend was there. I was ready. Silently, I'm thinking, thank God, because I knew I wasn't going to last much longer. I was 45 years old. I weighed 140 pounds.
Oh.
I was losing teeth. Yeah, I was, I was typical. I'm drinking, 10 Mountain Dews a day. I'm putting down more sugar than I knew what to do with. I was just all over the board, and people seriously thought I had HIV. I was that skinny. I couldn't fit my 13-year-old's jeans because I was too thin. So when I walked in and did all my physicals and talked to the doctors, they said I had about 6 months or so.
Wow.
Yeah. So
talk about the 11th hour, huh?
11th hour right there.
Yeah. You got it just in time.
Right.
So, and I just had somebody brought up this idea that we tend to focus on the last thing as if that were the thing. But like all the treatment centers, all the experiences, like it's a combined collective, like seeds are being planted all along the way. And sometimes it just takes time to get done.
Absolutely. Again, I will tell folks all the time, if you slip up, if you relapse, whatever you want to call it, you didn't lose your recovery.
Thank you.
Because yes, there are seeds that are planted all along that path.
Yeah.
I'm also not a day counter, right? I don't like that actually.
Such a double-edged sword,
isn't it?
I mean, it's awesome if you've stayed sober, but if you are sort of in that trial and error phase, it can be very discouraging. It can be shame producing.
Absolutely, it can. Yeah. And then you have to walk back into an AA meeting and go, I'm a newcomer again.
Yeah.
I mean, that is debilitating in itself.
Yeah. It depends on it. I would argue that it depends on the person. Like have you heard of Dr. Anna Lemke? She's an addiction specialist out of Stanford. She wrote that book, Dopamine Nation.
No.
It's a check it out if you get a chance. But she kind of made the point that those 12-step programs offer pro-social shame. And I thought that was a really interesting idea, that some people use that pain as leverage so that at some point, they're like, I don't ever want to do that again.
Right.
And it helps them. But for a lot of people, it has just the opposite effect.
Sure, it does. Yeah. I mean, with me, what am I going to tell somebody? I got, 42,822 days and a half. I mean, who gives a damn? Okay.
Today. We have today.
It's I got today. Okay.
Yeah, one day at a time.
How true is that statement though? It's on one hand, I hate it. And on the other hand, it's just truthful, right? I got today.
Did you ever hear the statement by Gloria Steinman that the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off?
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's a good one. So let's talk a little bit about, so you get sober. So you went to, did you do the 12 steps?
I did.
Okay. Do you still practice that? Or do you participate or?
I'm in a meeting every day. because of what I do. Yeah. Right. So I don't go to meetings anymore.
Any more meetings?
Right. I don't need any more meetings. I mean,
you go to a lot of meetings. Let's be honest.
Right. I mean, I was here in my office till 9:30 last night. So, I'm in a meeting all the time.
All the time.
I'm sorry. What was the rest of the question?
I was just curious. So a lot of people, it's not uncommon that people start off with 12 steps and then they have like an additive process along them. So I was just curious, like how you've been able to maintain your sobriety, I guess is really.
The 12 steps, I definitely did the 12 steps. I went through the big book, did it all with my sponsor. I think.
Did you have a good experience with that?
I did. I did. I really did. I do know and understand that there are other programs out there. I know there's Smart Recovery, there's Refuge Recovery.
Celebrate is Christian oriented.
Right. Celebrate Recovery. Look, I think when it comes to some of these programs, like a Celebrate Recovery, my opinion, they have a tendency to put all addiction into like one pile. Right. So if they're having their meeting on a Thursday night, you're going to get sex guys, you're going to get gamblers, you're going to get food addicts, you're going to get opiate addicts, you're going to get this. And the addiction, if I hope I can say this right, part of the brain is it's different for each. Yeah. I'm sorry. Opiate addiction is it has nothing to do with sex. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with gambling.
Doesn't it though?
Well, you want more or less, depending on who you are. Yeah. Depending on who you are. But you can't, in my opinion. Yeah. You should not treat all addiction the same because they are different. Yeah. And
there are nuances that are significant.
Sure, of course, of course. Yeah. But I've also learned that people are different. Different programs are going to work for different people, right? And who am I to say that this one's not going to work for you? Who am I to say that one's not going to work for that person? It might. I don't give a damn if you cut a chicken's head off and hang it over your bed and practice voodoo. If it's going to keep you clean and sober, more power to you.
Right.
I mean, seriously, the end game is to remain clean and sober.
Yeah.
Just get there.
Yeah. Just
life's great.
Yeah. Life is good.
It is good.
Life is good. It depends on what you focus on. Yeah. I agree with you. And I think that's why addiction is so hard. Alcohol use disorder, substance use disorder, whatever. I don't care what you call it. There's a lot of argument. People get really hung up on the nomenclature about what we're talking about. But at the end of the day, I feel like you. I don't care what you use to get better. Just get better. Stay alive. Like I'm all about there's medical assisted treatments. There's harm reduction. Maybe those are the same thing. There's abstinence. Like, do what you got to do. I don't care how it gets done. Like in my mind, stay alive, stay alive. Right. And do what you got to do to, stay sober one more day. So I appreciate it. I feel like the more I learn, the less I know. Like the longer I've been sober, the less judgment I have around how people get sober. Cause everyone is in a different place.
Right. Everybody is in a different place. And like I said, not everything works for everybody the same way, but there are some basics that I believe that most of us have to hang on to.
What are the basics, would you say?
I look, the basics to me, I try to make things as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Is going to meetings.
Okay.
And
community.
And now community
of like-minded people. Yeah.
You bet. Staying involved. Okay? Involved with that community.
Like service.
Absolutely. Service. Okay. And again, nobody has to become a drug counselor.
Right.
Right. Because I mean, I remember sitting at Betty Ford and all these guys, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to become a drug counselor. I was the only guy in there that went, I don't want no part of this shit.
And look at you now.
And now look at me. Right.
And where are they? And where are all those people?
Where are they? Right. I'm going to save the world. No,
I know, but it's kind of it's a noble endeavor, right? Like I feel like it's like being a born again Christian. You see the born again Christians and they want to save everybody. I feel like those of us who have survived hell want to then be like, oh my gosh, you don't have to be in hell anymore. Let me help you.
Right.
Let me help you get out. There is something very innate in human nature that wants to save others once you've been rescued, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. But I have to say, I was one of those guys that didn't want it. I mean, I got clean in 01. I didn't start this, and we didn't think about this till 08. Right. Wow. So that was 7 years of me just doing my thing. And right. But it was like, no, I don't want to do that. Then somebody asked me to speak somewhere. Okay. And it was like, oh yeah, I can do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I can go do that. Yeah. By the way, there's a great story with that first speaking engagement, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh, please. It. Yeah.
Okay. So the guy that got me into treatment, all right, Richard, my best friend, I get this speaking gig at a local church. And so I was really having some major teeth issues at the time. So the night before I had to speak, a tooth just left of center, okay, decides to fall out.
What a bummer.
Oh yeah. So I go over to Richard's house, and I'm kind of got my lip over my teeth, right? And I'm going, hey man, I got to go speak to this group tomorrow night. Can you tell that the tooth is gone? He's going, oh no, looks good. And he's
lies.
Just liar. Okay. So I go, okay, great. So I go, I do this, do my speech. Nobody says a word, of course. All right. It was great. So a couple days later, he calls me and he goes, do you like your dentist? And I go, I don't know. I guess, we're trying to, because at that time I didn't have dental insurance. I'm thinking we're trying to piecemeal this thing together, and all of a sudden he goes, you're not going to him anymore. And it dawned on me, and I go, no, you're not doing this. He goes, too late. You have an appointment with my dentist on Monday morning. You're getting all new teeth. Goodbye. Click. And he slams down the phone. Oh yeah.
New teeth?
All implants. And
oh
here's
my gosh, that's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? Look, he's my best friend, but I'll tell you what, he did it for one reason. He did it because I stayed clean and sober.
Oh,
that's it.
You're going to make me cry on my own podcast.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it? And
Saint
now
Richard, we love him.
You bet. And so now I've got all these great white straight teeth. Okay. I should have did it years ago. I mean,
oh, wow.
But yeah, is that. So
that is beautiful.
So when I say sobriety is good and recovery is good, it is. It may not all come quickly. Sometimes it may not come at all the good things. All right. But yeah, they're on their way.
They're on their way.
They're on their way.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting that, listen, you had such an amazing attitude, and everything that I'm gathering from you says that you are someone who accepts full responsibility.
Absolutely.
And you take a ton of action.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel like there is this disconnect between receiving information and then taking action. And it's the people who take action who invoke the law of cause and effect, yep. Right? You don't have to be a good person. And this is the saving grace here, is that we feel so shitty when we first get sober. We feel like bad people. However, the law of cause and effect, you don't have to be a good person in order to invoke it. It's a law. It's like gravity. Cause and effect. When we take responsibility and we take action, right? Guided action, we experience an effect. And if you do that, and what you were talking about in the very beginning about having the right mindset of be patient with other people in those first 4 or 5 years where they're learning to trust you again. It's like you be patient with yourself, be patient with others, that you're talking about the mindset and just take the next right action. It's so cause and effect, taking the right action. Right. And then you start to receive the rewards of sobriety.
Absolutely. And look, but I also believe that, I'm going to, like you said, I'm going to admit when I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to argue with somebody over something that I'm not going to win the argument with.
No.
Why? Okay.
Yeah.
But I believe people want to see, like you said, they want to see the action. They at least want to see us trying.
Yeah.
Okay. We may fall back on occasion. And again, during my early recovery days, you don't think I fell back sometimes with
Human.
attitude, and right.
Human.
We're all human. But I'll tell you what, that's another excuse though that a lot of families don't want to hear. Oh, I made that mistake because I'm human.
Okay? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Progress, not perfection, can be a saving grace, or it can be an excuse depending on how you use it. Yeah.
You bet.
Everybody is clear on intent, even if you're not.
You absolutely. Absolutely. And these people know when you're bullshitting them.
Totally.
You know,
even when you're bullshitting yourself.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny, man. This is not easy, but I'm glad there's people like you that are helping others walk through it. I really am. I really appreciate all the work you do. If people are interested in working with you, or want to connect with you, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Sure. They can contact me at, flint@gotpainusa.org. They can also call me directly on my cell. My cell is open 24 hours a day. That's 559-978-1507.
That is,
of course,
great.
Yeah. And also they can go to our website at gotpainusa.org.
Gotpainusa.org. I will leave all the information in the show notes, websites, Perfect. Phone numbers, all that stuff. So if you're driving, don't crash.
Don't crash.
Visit odatchat.com and find all the information in the show notes. Right. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was such a pleasure talking to you. I loved our conversation. Everything came out amazing. And
good. You're welcome.
Yeah, keep up the great work. You're doing amazing.
Thanks, Arlene. I really enjoyed talking with you too. Let's do this again.
Let's do this
really
again.
do it again. You got it. Thanks again.